Well,
agree, and
women and men are different, yes.
I'm going to say something that you probably hate, an expression you hate, but social construct.
No, we have evidence to this, though.
I love the yin and the yang. I think men and women are symbiotic, it's beautiful, it's biblical, and it's something that we should stop trying to actively work to force and destroy.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to watch Candace Owens dismantle the worldview of a male feminist. This is a debate that is at times confrontational, but ends absolutely beautifully. It's Candace Owens at her finest, in my opinion, so let's get into it.
The question is just, I looked at some data while you were speaking about the gender pay gap in the UK and the US. So apparently it's 17% in the UK and 19% in the US.
No, it's not.
And it's WEF data, so
Yeah.
just look at that.
The
Right.
myth
So maybe,
of the
maybe
gender
World
pay gap.
Economic from in 2015,
Right.
in
So,
percentage.
Happy to talk about this.
Yeah, this is
so
like,
my question is basically, what do you think are the causes of this?
It doesn't exist.
Well,
Do
no,
you-
there is a cause for it. I'll tell you what it is.
And do you think there should be public measures to tackle it? And yeah, the causes and the public
Fair
reaction.
question.
So
I
what do you
get it all the time because obviously I'm like the anti-feminist. So people are always like, "How can you deny the gender, the wage gap?" Okay. So when I went to university, all of the girls that I was friends with were majoring in fashion and textiles and merchandising, and they all went off to intern at Vogue. And pick out Prada bags that maybe Kate Moss would wear on the cover of something. The average pay for that, if you want to be in fashion when you get out of school, is $20,000. Men were majoring in business and engineering and things that when you get out of school, you get paid more. If our interests, if we're going to go in and we're not going to be taking serious majors, and we're shocked when we find out the world doesn't need more people to pick out Prada bags for Kate Moss's shoot. I mean, that's not a gender wage gap. That's an interest gap, right? And that's what's happening. Also, women, we have different interests. Women aspire to get married, they aspire to have children. They leave the workforce earlier. Every single one of my girlfriends, what I'm saying is that a person that is a brain surgeon should not get paid the same amount as a person that wants to pick out Prada bags for the rest of her life. I mean, this is what's going on in America. When you look at the wage gap, they're not telling you what the jobs actually are and what women are going into in terms of their majors in university. When you're taking feminist dance class 101, you're not going to make six figures when you go out of university. That's just the truth. And women, if there was a real feminist movement, would talk about that, would say, hey, if you want to make as much as men, maybe we should be majoring in engineering and things like that, but we don't because we have different interests, which is fine. But you then can't complain and think that we should now have a society that forces, what are we going to do? Are we going to have like a government that says now we have to pay women that want to go into fashion six figures to make them feel good and like they're doing things that are productive in society? Like that's not a practical solution. If we want to get serious, if women want to make more than men, they do. It's actually been proven statistically in America that when they go into the same majors and take on the same jobs, women get paid more than men in those particular fields.
So for Google, for example, I'm going to comment on this in a variety of different ways. Google, for example, did a pay equity audit 2 weeks ago.
That was last week.
And Google said we must go after gender-based wage discrimination. Turns out that men were being significantly underpaid at Google, so they dished out $9 million in bonuses to men at Google because women were being overpaid. A couple things. First of all, if you just lazily, as some of the studies that you referenced, not you're being lazy, but the studies are lazy, extrapolate all the women and all the men at a certain age and don't take into account how long they've been in a job, what they studied, their experience prior, the gender wage gap in the States does exist. But if you take in women that study the same stuff as men and are in the workforce at the same time as men, they actually earn 106 cents of the dollar more, meaning 6 cents more than a man does in the States. Candace made a brilliant point. In the States, if you look at the 5 majors that are the highest performing majors and the 5 majors that are 5 lowest performing majors. So roughly the 5 highest performing majors in the United States of America: petroleum engineering, business, finance, things of that nature. They're 80 to 90% more or less dominated by men. There's only one major that are dominated by women, a single out of the 5. If you look at the 5 worst performing, pre-K education, things of that nature, elementary school education, almost 80 to 90% dominated by women because they naturally will make different choices because they're biologically
We're
set
just
up
biologically different.
So this is a really important point that they just raised here, and it's a reality that not many people want to confront these days, but a reality nevertheless. Men and women have different interests. They pursue different careers, and men's careers happen to pay more, which is the way it should be, because men are providers and women are nurturers. And I'm sure if you guys have been observing the culture, you'll have noticed that it's now become shameful and stigmatized in certain unpleasant circles for women to just want to do the things that they are biologically inclined to want to do. And it's trendy for them to be a boss babe and act like as much of a man as possible. Brainwashed feminists will always try and shame the happy women. The ones with children, the ones that get to spend a lot of time with their families. They'll act like their pursuit of raising human beings is somehow underachieving in life and that they should be writing emails and they shouldn't be having children because of climate change. And as much as feminism does ruin everything and literally everyone in the whole entire world is worse for it, sometimes I feel most sorry for these women who are stigmatized. Let's get on to the next bit. But before we get there, guys, don't forget to smash that like button as hard as you possibly can and subscribe to the channel only if you get true value from my content. Back to it.
Really quick. Women are also...
Can I just go back on that? Because I find it's a very interesting point you're making, the interest and the biologically...
Yeah, it's backed up by a Cambridge study.
Can you just elaborate on this? Because I would tend to disagree about the biologically part of the... For instance, woman, you say the gender gap doesn't exist and that woman would be more inclined to do a fashion degree rather than a business degree. And
women and men are different, yes.
I'm going to say something that you probably hate, an expression you hate, but social construct. And
we have evidence to this, though. Look at the Scandinavian countries. They tried to get rid of this. They actually allowed teenagers to choose which do you want to get into STEM fields or not, and the data actually showed that women naturally wanted to go towards, when they tried to make the society totally equitable and they try to get rid of these gender roles, women still, because of the biological predisposition towards nurturing, women...
We naturally want to nurture.
They go to nursing.
There are definitely studies against that nurturing part. Women are not more inclined to be nurturing.
110% we are. 110. I mean,
Sweden is the example of it. You're just wrong.
It's just true. It's just true.
But based on what? What studies? Is it true based on what?
There was a study done by Cambridge scientists that demonstrated that men naturally revert to environments that require more structure, such as politics and the professions that he mentioned.
Business
and women naturally revert to professions such as teaching, which require more empathy and emotion. This is just a natural thing. It's important not to. It's important not to say that, you know, women should be forced into those roles, but you do have to accept, you know,
that we naturally
that
do.
We naturally revert to them.
Guys, I want to take a quick second to tell you about the sponsor of today's video and a company that I'm delighted to be working with and that has a very special deal for you. Aura. Now, before I did YouTube, I was working as a recruitment agent, so I know exactly how easy it is to get people's details from the internet. And if you've never really looked into this, I guarantee you would be absolutely shocked with how much of your personal and private information is out there for scammers, telemarketers, and worst of all, identity thieves. Think about how often you write your name, your phone number, your email, and your home address on the internet. This is where Aura comes in. Aura is an identity protection service that will scour the whole internet and the dark web for your personal information, and they'll provide you detailed reports of this, and best of all, go and delete it. Identity theft is a problem that is only getting worse as technology gets more sophisticated. There were 2.6 million cases of identity theft in the first 9 months of 2023 alone. And this is why we need to be on top of this and why Aura is so useful. But there's also more. Aura is basically an all-encompassing online safety tool. Normally you have to go through 20 different websites to access 20 different services, but Aura has it all in one. They're also a VPN. They monitor your credit. They'll get rid of robot callers, which are the absolute worst. And so much more, but best of all, they are trustworthy. This is shown by the fact that they have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And so whilst the price of this service is already of extremely good value, Aura is offering viewers of Rattlesnake TV a 2-week free trial if you go to aura.com/Jake. You'll be able to find that link at the top of the comments and also in the bio. I mean, there's no reason to not give it a shot. Test it out for a 2-week trial for free. See if you like it. You'll be able to find all your personal information out there on the internet. Get rid of it. Check your credit, stop the robot callers, and all of that great stuff. And also, you'll be supporting the channel by using my link. Don't let people use your personal identity and information for profit or even worse, guys. Back to the video.
It's just true. I'm just telling you, like, even if you've said, I'm telling you, every single woman that I went to university with versus every single man. There's just a difference in terms of the majors that we're picking, and we're not forced to pick certain majors. We just aren't forced to. So what you're seeing is the result of people picking their different interests, right? And unfortunately, the other part of your question was, should we do something in society to even it out? We don't have to do anything in society to even it out. Can
I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Do you think there's a biological difference between a man and a woman?
I do believe, indeed, there's a biological difference between man and woman, but when it comes to interest, I do more believe that...
So let me ask you a follow-up. Don't mean to, interrupt rudely, but if we have biological differences, do I have more testosterone than she does?
I think, yes, indeed.
Do you think that testosterone could drive you to do different interests and things?
Well, I could indeed do believe that. Yeah. The thing is...
So maybe a man might be more likely to be a weightlifter, serve in the army, be a police officer, a firefighter, and a woman who has more estrogen might want to be a nurturer, a preschool teacher. Do you see how biology...
How brainwashed would you have to be to think that men and women being involved in different careers is a social construct? Like, what does that even mean? Does he not understand that throughout history, before there were ever iPhones and Teslas, men and women have always had different interests, roles, and duties? We've always done what we had to do since the beginning of civilization to ensure the survival of us and our offspring. Even the Bible clearly states gender roles in the order of the world. So whichever way you look at this or try and paint it, from a secular worldview, religious, from an evolutionary worldview, you get the same result. But Charlie did a great job there of walking this gentleman to the commonsensical, logical conclusion that just becomes irrefutable when you have to stare the facts in the face. Men and women are different hormonally, in our brain chemistry, in our physiology, and of course then our interests are going to be different. And if you try and disagree with that and say, oh no, it's different when it's interests, no. Just no. And now for Candace to finish this off in, quite frankly, the perfect way.
I have another question. Do you think it's desirable for the society, this kind of...
Of course.
I love it, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love the yin and the yang. I think men and women are symbiotic. It's beautiful. It's biblical. And it's something that we should stop trying to actively work to force and destroy at a certain point. I love it. And I did a podcast. I was interviewing John Voight, who you guys might know. He's Angelina Jolie's father, and he was talking about this like biblical, beautiful thing that our society is currently trying to destroy. And he said the thing that I see over and over again in my life, and it's nice because he's 80 years old now, so they have that wisdom when they get old. And he said women just know what to do when they have children. He's like, they just know. It's so innate. When you see a woman with a child, it's just the most beautiful thing. He goes, you get men around there, they don't know what they're doing, and every single one of my girlfriends that now has children says the same thing, that it's easier when the man just leaves the house because it's like they have another child, right? And that's beautiful, right? And feminists make you think that there's something wrong with that, like make him do this and do that, and it's like, yes, there are certain things that we innately know how to do, and when I see a child, I instantly know how to take care of them. That's just something that's innate and it's biological, and maybe I don't have the data and the facts to describe to you that I can prove that this is a thing, but it just is a thing. And I don't know why society wants to destroy that or force it in a different way and make men the people that are innate and know what to do when they see children. There's something really beautiful and spiritual about that should never be disrupted.
Yeah.
Amen, Candace. Amen. You see, this guy doesn't know it, and he thinks that he's being really virtuous and sticking up for the ladies, but he really isn't. Because forcing women to try and act like men makes them utterly miserable, just like feminizing men makes them bitter and resentful. There is a natural order to the world, whether the male feminists like it or not. So guys, don't forget to find me below if you want to follow me somewhere else on Twitter, Instagram, or any of those places. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? And also, if you'd like to watch another video, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.